Stanley Ipkiss is a timid bank clerk who discovers a mysterious mask that transforms him into a zany and confident alter ego with cartoonish powers. The chaos of his double life finds Stanley entangled with a beautiful singer and a ruthless crime lord. Between his meek reality and manic masked persona, Stanley discovers the courage, love, and power in himself that he never knew was there before putting on the mask.
Hey, welcome back to Movie Friends. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Seth.
And today we're talking about The Mask from 1994. Directed by Chuck Russell, screenplay by Mike Werb, and story by Michael Fallon and Mike Veridian. Cinematography by John R. Leonetti. Composed by Randy Edelman. Edited by Arthur Coburn. And costume design by A. Nguyen. Starring Jim Carrey, Cameron Diaz, Peter Riegert, Peter Green, Richard Jenny, and Max, the Jack Russell Terrier. Seth, hi.
Hey, how's it going? There's a whole lot of mics in there.
There's so many mics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And I kept mixing up Mike and Mark, and then there's Max, who's the Jack Russell Terrier, who we have to mention.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. How's it going?
It's hot. It's very hot.
We say it every week. We say it every week.
It's for real this time. I recorded 3 episodes yesterday, 6 hours total. And I was just like, so sitting back down to do this felt like, you know, when you go to the gym and you work out like a muscle really, really hard, and then you go back like the next day and you're like easing yourself down into like, okay, I know this is going to be painful, but I have to do it. That's what it felt like getting ready to come and do this. Yeah, especially talking about The Mask, my favorite movie of all time.
Well, as we've been teasing.
Yeah.
Is your chair just like an ass puddle indent now?
Well, it has dried overnight. So
Good.
What's going on with you? I see your cat is joining us.
Niles is hanging out. It's super hot. And for anybody who has a cat, when it's hot, they kind of get really flat. And so I call it pancaking.
Okay.
And so Niles is just in the room today, pancaking. We cooled this room before, and by we, Niles jumped up and like hit the AC to cool it. We'll see how long this lasts. But
yes.
We're doing our best.
Yeah. Speaking of doing our best, we got an email. And this is a dual email. The subject line is Man on the Eternal Sunshine.
Oh.
It says, I love Taxi. Andy Kaufman is a hero of mine. Truly an original human. I liked this movie less after watching the doc, and that's referring to the Jim and Andy doc on Man on the Moon. Wow. I just don't like Carrey despite his massive talent. Then it drops down to a different paragraph, and I believe we're heading into Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Mm-hmm.
The beach scene talk reminded me of the video of Mitch falling on the beach. God. I watched that like 100 times. And I think it was last year, Michelle shared in our patron Discord a video of her running and falling on the beach. It's quite good.
Yeah, that took place in February in Montauk. How fitting.
Eternal tripping of the Michelle mind.
Correct.
The email continues, this movie is in my top 100. Wow. I'm a huge Winslet stan, and Gondry is such a beautiful director. And that email's from Ben. Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
Doubling up.
Wow, I like that. It's a double feature.
He skipped a week and then...
He's back, though.
Got it back in. Back in the groove. I got to open this can. I'm dying of thirst here, folks.
Live updates. What do we got? Sorry. Share. What do we got? Oh my gosh, what is happening?
I am drinking a Topo Chico margarita.
You're drinking alcohol? Last time this happened, not good things happened.
Well, it's just a hard seltzer. It's not alcohol. It's prickly pear.
No, there's alcohol in there. It's a hard seltzer.
Hey, if you're a hard seltzer, we'd love it if you'd send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Just be like Ben, you know. At the end of Jim Lie, perhaps, give us a summary. especially if you joined us in watching all these movies.
You know how else you could be like Ben? You could vote for us. We are nominated for the People's Choice Podcast Awards under TV and film, and Ben voted. And so we'll have the link in the show notes. If you're enjoying it, it takes like 5 minutes to sign up.
3 minutes. I timed myself.
Did you time yourself? Okay.
Yes.
I was over exaggerating, but 3 minutes. Sign up, vote for us, and you can vote for other people in this space under all categories, but we're under TV and film. It would mean a lot.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's go into our ratings. Let's predict.
Oh yeah, that's right.
How we think each other's gonna rate this movie. I have to be honest with you. I'm not sure what you're gonna write, Seth. I mean, what you're gonna pick.
Sure. For you, yeah, I know.
No, for you. I don't know what to write
well, we're
down
guessing
for
each
you.
other's ratings. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, I have my pen.
I am way ahead of you. I've already written down my prediction for you, your rating, and whether it's a schmovie, movie, or film. And I am done. I'm locked in.
Locked in. Me too. All right. I should have brought this up at the top of the show.
Yeah.
But before we get into this, I went to the thrift store over the weekend.
Okay.
And I found this really cool box.
Okay.
And I just wanted to show it to you.
Okay.
You should be excited. This just made me think
I love boxes, yeah.
Well, you know how we've been like really into connecting things and we're all about signs.
The movie Friends, connection, the influence.
Oh my God. I'm going to tie in here. Shrek 5 is coming.
Oh my God. Yeah,
we have to mention it, right?
Worst.
It's probably, we had something to do with this probably because we've like brought Shrek back into the zeitgeist. Anyway, I found this box.
Well,
go ahead.
I had no idea that, one, this is the 30th anniversary of Jim Carrey's legendary 1994 run, which we did not plan. Mm-hmm. And also, this is the 30th anniversary of The Mask coming out this month.
July 29th.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Anyway, went to the thrift store, shopping around. I found this box, and it reminded me of the box in The Mask.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we can get started. I'm just going to...
Sorry, I should be more excited. Sorry.
You should be excited. So I'm going to... Look how cool it looks. Looks so cool.
Yeah. Wow. That does look like
Right? How cool is that? All right. Well, you're not really impressed, so we can
No, it's cool. It's very cool.
No, it's fine. I'm just going to put it down.
Okay.
It's fine. Niles is walking over to it.
Yeah. Let Niles chew on it for a bit.
Yeah. He likes to rub his face on the edges, and he's opening it.
Oh. Opening it.
Yeah, he's opening it.
That's like you should have put Niles in the movies. That's a stunt cat right there.
I know, right?
Just like the dog in this.
I know. He just kind of opened it. Oh, it looks like something's inside.
The box? You didn't open the box prior to today?
I didn't open the box. No.
Well, oh, okay. Yeah. What is inside?
Oh no. Oh no.
What?
No, Niles, don't put your face on that. No!
What's happening?
Somebody stop me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Michelle's cat Niles put on the mask and turned into Felicia Maroney.
Wow.
Look at that.
Wow, Felicia, how are you?
I'm great. I had a little changeroo there, but we're all good now.
Yeah.
So glad you're here and can make it.
I'm beyond honored to be on this episode. When Seth asked me, I was like, immediately, yes, I would have been offended.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, I am so excited to have a person who loves The Mask on for this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming you love The Mask, or you just love talking about The Mask, or maybe you're a mask expert.
The first two.
Okay. I'll take it.
So, Felicia, you host your own podcast that just hit its first year summer break. You finished up with one of the greatest directors of all time, David Cronenberg.
Yes.
So, you want to tell us a little bit about your show?
Yeah. So, just like Seth said, first season done, aka first year. I think next week is I think maybe when this episode is going to be out will be the first full year of it. But every month I do a different director, and each week there's a different guest on, and we talk about the movie of their choice within that director or cinematographer's filmography. But the last one I did is David Cronenberg. Did 5 episodes there and ended with Videodrome because you got to end with Videodrome. So
Absolutely.
excited to take a break, but excited to refuel and come back.
Hey, congrats on that, though.
Thank
That's
you.
pretty amazing.
Thank you.
Awesome. Very cool.
1 year.
I know.
Very awesome.
I'm excited to talk about one of cinema's greatest achievements.
Oh my goodness.
Well, starting on that, I would love to know your relationship with The Mask and why you love this movie.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things. I think it's growing up in the 90s and being a Jim Carrey family, probably, and being Canadian. So there's those two ties. But I think every household has like a few Jim Carrey movies that they watch. But there's like that one that prevails, and The Mask was always the top for us, for all of us. And it's like one that we just wore out not even DVD, VHS, and just watched it. And even watching it again last night, I was like, this movie still rips. Like, it's just so much fun. I love it.
It is fun. It definitely is fun. Seth, what was it like rewatching it for preparing for this show for you?
Well, I had recently rewatched this because Felicia did a guest spot on our friend Nick's show, Bad Movies We Love, where they did The Mask. And I wanted to listen to the episode. So I was like, all right, let me rewatch it. And it was just so painful. Like, it was painful to sit through. And so we're doing the films of Jim Carrey, and we've done 3 on this podcast so far: Truman Show, Man on the Moon, Eternal Sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
And we avoided Carrey's, like, the stuff that he's known for, you know, the comedic stuff, for so long. So I was like, all right, I'm going to be a good sport about it. And I'm going to watch this full eyes, clear heart, whatever it's called. And
Friday Night Lights right now? Okay.
yeah. And
Clear eyes, full hearts can't lose.
Yes. Right.
Okay.
And it was just like, yeah, it was the same thing, man. It was just terrible. But my 2 boys loved it. Both of them. My 3-year-old he was doing the dad thing where you watch a movie standing up, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He kept saying to me, he would turn around to me with this big smile. He'd be like, he's the bad guy. He's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. And I would have to be like, no, he's not the bad guy. But in my mind, I'm thinking, you're right. He is kind of a bad guy. And then my 11-year-old, every time The Mask would do something ridiculous, he would just be like, what is up with this guy? So yeah, I did not enjoy this anymore, but I did watch it 2.5 times for this episode. So.
Whoa.
Yes.
Yeah, this was my pick for this month because I also grew up with this playing in my household. Probably more than any other Jim Carrey movie. I mean, at the time, like we've said, Dumb and Dumber and Ace Ventura, but this one was a household staple. That being said, I probably haven't watched it in like 20 something years. And so watching it as an adult, I was like, it looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think it looks really good.
Yeah.
And I had to keep reminding myself, like, if you think of this as like a superhero movie, then yes, this can be super zany. And then reading more about like the origins of it, how this was a comic and originally had a dark side. Well, the comic is dark. So your son saying like he's the villain,
yeah,
you know, he's onto something there. But there's still some scenes in this movie where I was like, this is great. Like the musical numbers are so good and fun. They are. Wait, Seth, come on.
So
do you know this movie? It's known for the resurgence of swing music.
All right. Well, I'm glad that we're getting into this now.
Go ahead.
And I'm just going to jump right in here. This movie is part of the terrible swing big band ska resurgence of the 90s that had people wearing like wallet chains and like suits and like oh yeah, everybody loves it when a guy's wearing a fedora, right? Like we love that. Well, we can all thank The Mask for bringing that back to popular culture. Oh my god, it's terrible. Look, I like Mighty Mighty Boss Tones as much as the next guy. But this oh my god, I was just like turning inside myself as they're doing like the big band stuff and he's dance and they break into like the swinging arm stuff, and I was just like, I want to shoot this movie. I want to shoot
What?
this
Those
movie.
were the best
Literally, you don't like the
parts.
Cuban Pete musical bit?
Cuban Pete is it's
Like
it's the
I
best.
watch that sometimes on YouTube just in my free time.
I do. I watched that again today, just that part, because I was like, it's so fun. You can't watch that and not smile.
Well, I guess cultural appropriation is okay if it's a dude in a green mask.
Oh boy.
No, I'm kidding about that part. But cultural appropriation is always okay, folks. All right, I just want to say that. All right, but anyway, that's my take on the big band thing. I'm sorry to jump in. Why don't you guys take it away?
Well, I actually wanted to start from the beginning. Okay, so we have this guy, and please correct me if I'm wrong and misunderstanding. We have this guy, and he's scuba diving, and he finds this box, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Construction. I don't think it's like leisurely.
Okay, but he's down there. He's wearing he has equipment on, and he dies.
Yeah.
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 Right? He's dead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That bothered me a little bit. I'm like, we never even think twice about this guy. And then I'm like, oh, let me remember this is like comic book superhero universe. Mm-hmm. This is just a casualty. Was he hired to dig for this mask? Or you're saying it was construction. You think, like, I thought maybe he was doing it for personal reasons. Like, I created a whole backstory for this diver.
No. They're doing some kind of like underwater welding. Mm. And he spies the box and then opens it, but then gets crushed. So I actually thought this part was kind of smart because if anyone else knew what had happened, then they would be like pursuing the mask, but they don't. And to me, the mask kind of has like a consciousness because he throws it out the window and it like flies back.
Yeah.
And so it's like the mask is like, I'm free. Now I'm going to kill this guy. Like it kind of causes his inadvertent death by being crushed by like whatever they were working on. That's how I took it. I don't know. Felicia, you're the expert.
No, I mean, that's also, but it took me multiple watches to get that because I think as a kid, that scene is so quick kind of that like every time I would watch it, I was like, oh, I forgot this is how it opens with that. Right. Because I always just think of Stanley, seeing the body and going in for it, forgetting that, oh yeah, this guy's actually dead. They just never talk about it again. But I think it was that. I don't think he was going down there for it. But maybe. But I just assumed that it was for work. Why they were doing it at night, I don't know. But,
overtime.
Right. Yeah. Right. I mean, that makes perfect sense. In my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, we could have like a whole other story about this guy who knew about the powers that this mischievous, Norse god Loki possesses in the form of this mask, and he wants a new persona, and he's read about it, and he's a collector, but it turns out it's just someone doing work. So we can move on. Let's talk about Stanley.
Michelle's like, that was 3 pages of my notes.
That was it. That's all I got, guys. Stanley Ipkiss. He's presented to us as the nice guy, right?
Yes.
Should we be taking this as, is he believable as a loser, or he just has bad luck? How did you guys feel about him with adult eyes? Seth, why don't you go first?
I think the movie is just showing us the difference between confidence and no confidence. Okay. Because we're not showing that Stanley is like talentless.
Right.
He just has no confidence. And later in the film, he like escapes from jail and beats people up. He's not a superhero. He's not like a super tough guy, but he is like capable. He just completely lacks confidence.
Felicia, what do you think about Stanley?
I think it's the same. I don't think he's a loser. And even though the stuff that you see in like his apartment would be kind of nerdy, like the Looney Tunes stuff, the comic book stuff, and he lives alone and everyone kind of gives him a hard time, but he has a good friend who, respects him, doesn't seem to feel sorry for him,
Yeah.
but he's just like exactly what Seth said. He's like, you are just missing the confidence, but he's got a good job,
Yeah.
he pays for his own way. I think he really is just unlucky because he doesn't know how to, put himself out there. But then later on, not to go too far ahead, he does write that Mr. Nice Guy letter and the paper,
Right.
which is a way of him trying to put himself out there, but he needs a mask of some sorts, whether it's behind the
Yeah.
newspaper. But I don't think the
Yeah.
movie's trying to make him out to be a loser. I just think that he needs something to push him, I think.
Do you think Jim's portrayal did a good job? Like, is it believable?
I think so.
But I know it's hard, right? Because we grew up with this, right? So it's like looking at it from like this lens. But like I don't know. I kept like feeling like Jim's portrayal of not having confidence was not coming through to me.
Because he's hammy.
Yeah. Yes. And I feel like he's just like all over the place, and that's who Jim Carrey is, right? And I get that. I had a hard time believing that this guy has no confidence. I don't know. I'm trying to articulate it in a
I think
better
too,
way than I am.
like it's also that he's like I think a little old fashioned. Like I think the movie reference stuff, the swing music stuff is supposed to come from Stanley. Like I don't think that comes from Loki. Like I think
no, you're right. They added a 40s element to it, so it would be
like
timeless.
the mask
Yeah,
accentuates kind of what's inside. Because later on, when the bad guy puts it
Dorian,
on, he's not like funny and goofy and
Yeah, exactly.
I understand what you're saying, Michelle. I also kind of can't put a finger on it because it's like this guy works at the bank, but he also lives in like what we're led to believe is like a dumpy apartment with like a terrible landlady. Even though I was like, it's a pretty nice apartment, you know, by today's standards.
Yeah, love that.
It's not that he doesn't have a car; it's just that his car is like in the shop and he's being taken for a ride, but he pays for it. It's not like he's like, oh my God, I can't afford this. He's writing a check, signing away, whatever. So yeah, there's a weird like middle ground where if this was being played by like a Matthew Broderick type, you can see where he would play it more mousy, and like more like, oh, eep, up, sorry. But Jim Carrey is just kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah. So treating Stanley differently than masked Stanley, how do you guys feel about when he puts on the mask?
Felicia, take it away.
I mean, it's fun. It's really when at that point, even as a kid, you kind of know Jim Carrey and his vibe. So that's when you're like, okay, now we're into a Jim Carrey movie. Because I think before that, I can't remember if Dumb and Dumber is before this or after. And Ace Ventura would have been maybe a little bit before this. Yeah. So you're getting really wacky, but he opens this movie where he's like straight man. So you're like, okay, you're not, you're like, okay, when is it going to happen? And then it does happen. And I just love that, he wore the actual, makeup, prosthetics, and the teeth in there. Don't know how he was able to do all those impersonations, anything with those teeth in his mouth.
Yeah.
So that's when it gets fun, and like just a lot of great one-liners in it. And you're like, okay, now I realize, it's a comedy now.
Yeah.
It's when the movie comes alive for me.
If you were Stanley and you see the mask floating and you grab it and you bring it home, like, are you guys putting this on? I mean, is it a natural instinct for us to just put something up and look through eye holes? I kept trying to think, like, would I put this to my face? I probably would smell it. I would definitely smell it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm putting it on like as soon as I pick it up out of the water.
You are? Okay.
Yeah, a mask floating on a garbage human, of course.
You're even I wouldn't even go into the water though. I'd be like, that's not my problem.
Same.
That garbage body thing. I hate it so much.
Do you hate it because it alludes to nothing. It just gets him to the mask, and we're not actually talking about the man who died.
Well, if we continue along with the idea that the mask is sentient, the mask like makes it look like someone's floating so that it can get to, maybe the mask wants to get to a nice person. And so it's like, oh, I'll pretend to be a dead body and someone will save me. Or I don't know, because the movie doesn't tell us, because the movie sucks. But no, I just hate it because it's like, you could write that 10 different ways. He could just be sitting on the beach feeling lonely and he sees the mask, or the mask floats up onto the sand, or since it floated away, it could be picked up. I don't know, whatever. I just said I could write it 10 different ways and then only proposed one. But I just hate it because, like he jumps in the water. He's like, hey, man, hey. Oh, it's a garbage body. Okay. As if, I don't know. I hate it.
Well,
I hate
it was just
I hate
garbage,
that that's the way that they went.
But it was just like, how else are you supposed to react? And then you grab the mask. But Seth, once he puts on the mask and we get this like zaniness, there like, regardless if you hate this movie, what Jim is doing, it's impressive.
Yeah.
The way he can move his body and his face, the fact that the visual effects artist like worked off of his face the way it can animate. I mean, that is definitely something to be said.
It's very impressive, like Felicia already said. I feel right now like Michelle is moderating a presidential debate. Like Michelle's like, okay, same question to you.
We're having a group discussion. How else am I supposed to do this?
Oh, no, I'm not making fun of you. I'm just saying, like, Felicia's liking this movie and I'm not.
Yeah.
I agree with Miss Maroney that the prosthetics look good. And the teeth especially. There's one shot when they're in the club and Jim is laying back and you can see deep into his mouth. And the teeth look great, like all the way back, all the way, to his molars. It's like, wow, this is a great little prosthetic here. I hate the transformation animation, the whirlwind spinning around. Do you hate
it because it bothers you or because you think it looks bad?
I think it looks dumb, and like, why would that be what happens? We get the Taz pillow in front and center on his couch as it happens for the first time, and I'm like, oh wow, is he supposed to be like a cartoon?
I actually like that because it's like an homage to Tex Avery and Looney Tunes. And this is very much influenced to that. I mean, around his whole apartment, as Felicia was saying, you might have been, oh my God, grunts.
Can I hop in again to complain about something?
Go ahead. You may have this floor.
Listen,
60 seconds.
Stanley. Stanley, you need to get your life on track. And step 1 is taking down the framed photos of Daffy Duck and Porky Pig that are behind your bed. It's like he's like 10 years old. It's insane. Like, fine, you watch cartoons every night before you go to bed. Who cares? But framed photos of Daffy Duck, that is such...
Okay, wait. I'm raising my hand.
Yes.
What if because in the 90s, buying cells that you could paint was a thing. So maybe he painted those in his downtime and framed them as art.
And then you put them in your closet and you never...
No.
Okay, if you guys went over to someone's house and you looked above their bed and they had Daffy Duck and Porky Pig hanging up, what would you think?
It would depend on how it's displayed. Because I have some nerdy stuff around my house. I mean, I have like big footprints. I have a Lego scene of the OC bagel scene happening. These prints can be done in a...
Are they hanging above your bed?
Yeah, it's the bedroom. I see Seth's point on that. It needs to be in a different room. Then I would judge it less. The bedroom is like a little too like, Then you're telling me something very specific. So I would move that to the living room.
Fair.
Can I ask you guys, do you have things hanging above your beds?
No.
I have wallpaper. We have like a, yeah, we have.
I have that hanging above my bed.
What is it?
If you've watched our Instagram reels, you've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can't get up and get it because I'm not wearing pants. So.
Right.
Yeah. It's two skeletons kind of intertwined, and it says like till death or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, that's appropriate.
That's
I have 2 bats like cuddling framed in our bedroom.
Oh, bats, huh?
They're like hanging upside down. They're like hand drawn. Anyway, I want to just sidebar. Seth, what are you holding? Are you holding a toy Pokemon?
Oh, this?
Yeah, I was going to ask.
What is that? I'm like, what is I can't stop looking at it.
I believe this is a...
Is that a plant?
That
goes in a dollhouse?
It's probably an eggplant. It's probably an eggplant.
Do you put it in like the little slots as like for the kids?
Yes. Yeah.
I think my daughter has one like that.
Yeah, the carrot, the bamboo shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cute.
Or as they call it in Canada, an aubergine.
We call it eggplant here too.
Okay.
But I know in like parts of Europe they call it aubergine.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody. Sorry. We can go back to serious talk.
Yeah.
Not my little eggplant that I keep on my desk. I need a fidget spinner for when we record.
Yeah, but then it would make noise, so no.
I know. Well, sometimes I'm flipping a coin in my hand, and sometimes I drop it.
Mm.
Yeah, I edit it out as much as I can, but sometimes it's made it through. Anyway.
I want to quickly, and I think this is a good part, to insert and talk about Milo, who is Stanley's sidekick. This dog is awesome.
Yes.
And the behind the scenes learning about it, I love learning about the animal actors. But they only used one dog. There wasn't multiple dogs on set. And he was extremely talented. He went to the premiere in a little suit and arrived in a limo.
Wow.
And to get him to do all of the commands, he did it for Fig Newtons.
Oh my God.
Isn't that the cutest thing ever? And his name is Max in real life. So I thought it was like just a great partner sidekick for Stanley to have this dog.
Yeah. One of the OG dog actors.
Totally. And a Jack Russell, which I've gone on many rants about it. But I hope we all can agree that when Milo puts the mask on, this is
it's fun.
So good.
Really, Seth, still?
Come on. The dog, it's so good. And we see, like, now we're learning by that point if, like, the mask kind of releases what you're feeling internally of trying, like, how you can express yourself. Mm-hmm. And so this little dog, gets, like, a big kind of, like, pit bull terrier head. And he's like, rah, 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 rah. I was like, yes. I love it.
Yeah, it happens.
All right.
I do like the dog sans mask.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like the prison scene? Prison escape scene?
Yes. Any dog that's going to help you evade the police. That's a great dog right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how we do like a little bit of slow motion too.
Yeah.
When he's like, come on, Milo, come on. And then he finally jumps up. It's like...
We don't get that anymore.
As if a
That's
dog
the 90s.
Jumping.
I know.
Yes.
80s, 90s.
I don't get enough of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like the dog actor. I think it's cruel to have a dog actor and just not call them by their normal name. Like, just name the character Max. Like, just be like, Max. Because this dog has to learn, it's got to act, and it's got to be like, oh, and by the way, you have a new name now.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, it's not like a happy situation on Seventh Heaven.
That's right. Yeah. If you want a dog named Milo, you got to find a dog named Milo. But if not, it's
I
Max.
never thought about that, actually. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's like you're trained, you're like, oh man, I'm the cat's meow. I'm the dog of Hollywood City, top dog. That's me. And then you show up to set and they start calling you by a different name. And now you have like dog identity crisis.
Well, he's an actor.
Right. And he'll probably do anything for a Fig Newton or a piece of cheese. And it's like
I'll be whoever you want me to be.
And exactly. And honestly, like with animals, they respond more to tone of voice. Like I could call my pet like, come here, stupid. And, dogs will be like,
right.
Not cats, but
Yeah. Very quickly before we move on, I just want to say, like, we do get Stanley, like, gaining some confidence because the second time his boss tries to chew him out, he, like, tells him off. And again, like, that's something that Stanley has known and, like, he already knows. It's just now he's willing to, like, speak up and say it. So I do like that. Like, the movie is communicating things to us without coming out and saying them.
yeah, it's not just this guy puts on a mask and is zany and does weird things. Like by the end, he doesn't need the mask, essentially. Yeah.
And you asked me about how I feel like when he puts it on, and I said I hate the animation of it. Yeah, I just, and I know I've said this 100,000 times before, so I apologize. I just don't find big comedy funny, and like all of Carrey's 90s stuff, it's just so over the top, and like I just don't laugh. Like I don't laugh, and that's, you know, Dumb and Dumber is my favorite because there's a lot of subtle jokes in addition to like the diarrhea stuff and the big stuff. There's a lot of just like quiet one-liners, and The Mask is like incapable of quiet one-liners. So I don't laugh. I didn't laugh a single time throughout this movie.
I found that I just had to keep reminding myself, like, oh, this is like a superhero universe.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I was reading that people compare this to Deadpool and how this was like the first of Deadpool. I've never seen Deadpool, but I was curious if you had any takes on that.
Yeah, because Deadpool's whole thing, even in the comics, and it's not the originator, She-Hulk did it first, you know, but they do what's called breaking the fourth wall, where they're talking to the comic reader. And in the movies, Deadpool is talking to the audience, and the Mask is talking to the audience, like just smiling at us. Like, I don't know, yeah, whatever. But yeah, it's definitely that. And the comic for sure is like incredibly violent, like a Deadpool comic.
Yeah.
I think it's worth noting that when they were trying to get this off the ground, it was originally going to be like a horror movie and like way, way, way more violent. And, you know, in Hollywood, it takes a long time to get things made. The first variations of this was like 1990. So I would kind of like to see like almost like a Sam Raimi Darkman take on The Mask.
Yeah, it is very Darkman. They're very, very similar. I would say, especially rewatching it last night, I was like, oh yeah, they're like perfect pairings. But I think Darkman's not super violent though. It's a little bit more than this one.
Maybe just gross.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think like Jim Carrey was like probably, was he not like the biggest star at this time in like around The Mask? And
not yet. No,
not yet. Well, he was going on there. Maybe like you don't, especially back then, you don't really want to have your rising stars being super violent on film.
Right.
So have you seen the 1961 Mask? Which seems to be more, it's like a dark horror feel to it. I was seeing that. I don't know this movie, but it's about like an Aztec mask.
No.
I don't think I've seen that.
Okay. And then, of course, there was The Son of the Mask, which...
Can you imagine if we asked Felicia to come on and talk about The Mask, and she came on all ready to talk about the 1961?
I mean, usually that would be something I would do, but
yes.
No. Not this time.
Okay. All right.
Son of the Mask, though, we can't really speak about. We don't acknowledge that.
No, nobody does, it seems.
I haven't seen it, and I really want to. Especially listeners, because currently we are trying to beat Jamie Kennedy in the Apple Podcast reviews. And we're gaining on him. So.
All right. Tina, Cameron Diaz, her first big movie role. Originally, they wanted Anna Nicole Smith for this role because they were thinking Jessica Rabbit vibes. But a costume designer recommended Cameron for this role. I love her in this movie. I think she's so good. She's delightful. When I think of like costumes, obviously like the yellow zoot suit that Stanley wears, but also her black and white striped dress that we see her going into the club in the beginning. I love her in this. Felicia, how do you feel about Tina and Cameron Diaz's portrayal?
She's great. And I feel like later on in her career, she got a little goofier with her stuff. So this is like a pulled back, or I mean, not pulled back from what, but I think she's great. I think she plays off of Jim really well. And I think it's really hard to share the screen with Jim Carrey, especially as the mask, let alone just Jim Carrey in general. And I think she holds her own. She's not trying to do anything to upstage. She's just complimenting him because that's what the character is. And I feel like she plays it really well. And like, if we're going to be superficial, she's incredibly hot in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Seth, what do you think?
I agree. She's beautiful. And I also agree with what Felicia said, that if anyone's performance in this movie is like understated, it's her. Like apart from her shoes flying off when she gets kissed, she really doesn't do anything like over the top. On pretty much every other character is doing that. Even the reporter, I think, is playing it up a little bit. And so I honestly would love to see Anna Nicole Smith in this role. Not that Cameron Diaz doesn't do a good job, but like I'm a bit of an Anna Nicole defender, like when she got that reality TV show, she was just made out to be like such an idiot and, silly and nobody took her seriously. Like, yeah, I think depending on how you film people, anyone can be shown in a certain light like that. So, yeah, I'd be curious to see that version. But Cameron Diaz is great in this. This continues the world where Cameron Diaz has to be in a movie with a green idiot. I am, of course, referring to Shrek 1 through 5 now.
Yeah. Woohoo!
But yeah, she's great. And hard to do, she lip syncs her song so well. I really was like, that could be her, but alas, it is not.
Yeah. Did you feel they had chemistry?
Yeah,
I did too.
Yeah.
And we're kind of set up with her because she goes into like spy out the bank, because the whole time there's this like criminal element to the whole thing. And so we're like, oh, we can't really trust Cameron Diaz. And even though I watched this movie recently, the switcheroo still took me by surprise this time around.
Wow. The switcheroo that took me by surprise was the Peggy setup, the reporter.
That's what I mean. Because we think it's going to be Cameron Diaz,
Yes.
who's like, oh, but then it turns out it's Peggy. And it's like, oh my gosh.
I know. Yeah. I found myself thinking and like kind of wishing, I was like, man, I know he ends up with Tina, but like, I kind of want him to end up with Peggy. And then Peggy showed her true colors. I was like, no, Peggy, you're dead to us.
Talk about wearing masks.
That being said, like, what was it, $50,000 or $20,000? I don't know. I might also snake someone out.
50,000.
I think it was 50,000.
And like in the 90s, I'd be like, yeah, sorry, I don't know you that well. I will be taking the money.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And I didn't see that coming, right? We all were shocked by that, right? So I thought that was really well done.
Yes. Yeah, I mean in 1994, $50,000 is like $500,000 now,
Didn't she say, sorry, I need to pay for my condo?
Yes.
Or whatever.
Yeah, I need to keep my condo.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, you're right. You do you. Absolutely. She's making pennies on her column. Tina's boyfriend, Dorian. So here we have like the bad guys. Mm-hmm. Dorian's such a weenie. And I mean, that's like, it is what it is. Yeah. I don't have too much to say about him, so I would love to hear what you guys have to say about him. The only thing that bothers me is when he puts on the mask, his physical stature changes and he has hair.
Yes.
I don't know why that bothered me.
Yeah, I don't love the Dorian design.
And the voice changes too. Changes.
Yeah. And they had a different actor to play the body, and they had a different actor to play the voice. Mm-hmm. I just don't like the Dorian thing. It does make sense because it's pulling out what's already inside of you, but I do like Peter Green.
Yeah.
He's in Pulp Fiction, Usual Suspects. In 1993, he starred in a small independent film called Clean Shaven, which is pretty good. Like I don't like love it, but it's pretty good. And if you watch that and this, it's like, what a different year this guy had.
I know. Clean Shaven, yeah, I feel the same way about Clean Shaven. It's like, it's hard to enjoy that movie because it's incredibly dark.
Yes.
But it's completely opposite vibes from The Mask.
Yes. You couldn't have two more different roles, I think, back to back.
Felicia, what did you think of Dorian? Did you have a problem with him when he put on the mask, or is this just me?
I could see the problem. I thought that I like it, but like, we as kids, like my sister and brother and I, we used to always quote Dorian's lines, especially when he becomes the mask. Even more so than the like Stanley mask. And we still quote it.
Like what?
When he goes, "There's always time for one last kiss." Even before you guys asked, like last night, I was sending my sister a gif of that in relation to something, and we just always send each other Dorian ones specifically. Or when he goes, when he yells, "Wait!" Well, just always, it's like a daily thing. Whenever we see each other, is to quote Dorian's mask. I don't know why. Just because it's beyond. It's like Stanley, Jim Carrey's is over the top, but his is another level of over the top too. So I just have a soft spot for Mask Dorian.
Mask Dorian, stay on here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I feel like a layer of my brain just got peeled back.
I love that so much. I would not have predicted that.
I never would have thought 3 children.
I don't know what it was. That line specifically, for like decades, we've been saying it to each other.
No, you have to be Stanley. I'm going to be Dorian.
Pretty much.
I do love, I think my favorite part of the movie, and I don't know if you're going to talk about like the bad guy, Nico. I love Nico. He's so quiet, and I love quiet villains.
Yeah.
And might be my favorite part of the movie is when they put the tea in Dorian's mouth and then hit it off with the golf ball. The way that that's shot and paced and reacted to, like all of that, you take that scene and put it into a real movie and it still fits. Like it's, it still fits. Like it's just a good, because sometimes when you have the over the top bad guy, you know, he's like, oh, put his hand in the trash compactor. It's like, that's not real. Like, okay, well, this guy's useless to you now, but like hitting a tea out of someone's mouth, like that's cool. I like that part.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think of the lieutenant, Kellaway, who's kind of this like comedic relief? He's always on the run. It makes sense for the story, you know, him and his partner's just like the even doofier.
Doyle.
Yeah, who's just with a name like that. And he's just like always a beat behind. But it works.
I mean, I love that actor, Peter Riegert. I don't know how you say his last name.
Yeah, he's great.
But he's fun. And I do kind of, especially as I got older, I was like, I can kind of sympathize with him where I'm just trying to do my job and this guy's really annoying. And it's obviously you. So let's just like move this along.
Right. And imagine being like chasing this masked person. Like that is so frustrating. And also like nobody bats an eye.
Yeah.
Like he's chasing him and, you know, this is part of his job. But then the population are just like, oh, yeah, the guy had a green mask on.
Right.
He goes into the club and does all these things and dances. Everyone's like captivated. He gets out of the car and they're just like, wow, they're all in this daze.
Yeah.
But again, I'm like, oh, this is like superhero Looney Tune-ish world. I have to this isn't real. This isn't real.
Right, it's not real. It's not attempting to be real.
It's not attempting to be real. That's right.
When 2 men are carted out with mufflers shoved into their backsides and they're not screaming as if they're dying. They're not dead at all, actually. Right. They're just kind of like, oh, man.
Right.
Yeah, it's a little... I just hate... And I don't know why it bothers me so much other than I don't like when people knock on things, which is a weird thing to say, but except for bathrooms.
Oh, like actual knocking.
Yeah, actual knocking.
Okay.
If I'm in the bathroom and you jiggle the handle, I am like wishing death upon you. Knock. Don't jiggle the handle. Don't scare people. Just knock anyway. But when he's knocking on Stanley's door and he's like, Epcot, I know it, Joe. Open up, Epcot. And Stanley's like pushing all the money back into the door. And I hate that scene so much. It just grates my nerves. I'm going to stop talking for the rest of this episode and just let you guys.
I just feel like I'm learning a lot,
Yeah.
Wow. I don't even know how to segue out of that.
Let us know. Send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Subject line, knock, don't jiggle.
Okay, Richard Jenney
Yes.
plays Stanley's bestie, Charlie, coworker, kind of whatever he is. I don't know his comedy. Do you know his comedy? He was a stand-up comedian. He passed away at an early age. I don't know anything about this guy. I don't even think I've seen him in anything else.
I don't think so either.
No. Yeah, I know that he's a comedian, but I don't know anything about him beyond this movie, and I hate him in this movie.
Yeah.
Like I feel like all of his lines are so unfunny, and he's doing it in such a like a hey you like Rat Pack way. Like,
yeah,
this lady's only looking for the BBD, or what is it BBD, right? Big. I think I wrote this down.
But if you think of like the retro 40s vibe, it kind of works.
The bigger, better deal.
Mm.
And then like a few lines later, he's like, she'll rip your heart out, put it in a blender, and hit frappe. Like,
yeah,
okay,
I think
guy.
he's like, yeah. I don't find him funny either. But I think his character, not that he's important, but useful in a sense that he does push Stanley to go out. Because Stanley's very much the type of person who's going to go to work and go home.
Right.
So you need that push. Because I don't know that the mask would have done. I guess maybe the mask would have, but I never think about him until he's on screen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But like, again, you get to the club and he doesn't even get in. And the next day he's like, man, where were you? It's like, you didn't know the whole night he wasn't there. He's just like preoccupied with the ladies. But it just shows like who he is. I don't know. Yeah.
I think he's a dud to me, but
That's to all of us, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to know if you guys found this mask. We already know that we would put it on. Who's the masked version of ourselves? What are we getting?
Oh my God. Not good, I don't think. I probably
like that's its internal. You think like something's going to be unleashed?
No, I just think I'd be really annoying and like making even more jokes all the time. And I don't know, like I don't really have like a goal like Stanley,
right.
like going out and meeting a lady. So I don't know. I would watch movies. Maybe like I'd watch 10 movies at the same time.
Your head would just like spin really fast.
Yeah. Something like that.
Okay, Felicia, what about you?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I would be good or bad. I don't see myself going out there saving people, to be honest. I wish I could say I would be, because I think one of the first lines he says, he's like, oh, I could be a superhero, and then proceeds to be chaotic. I feel like I'd be a little chaotic without, hurting anyone. I would just be like, I can, steal some stuff, maybe. I would probably rob a bank, to be honest. I would.
It's like the first thing he does.
Yeah.
He has money.
I'd wear gloves, though, and not my own place of work. I'd rob a different bank.
Right.
The only two things that came to mind for me was like I would like type really fast and like send good pitch emails, and then I would go rescue cats.
See, that's nice.
I would like catch them and then like spay and neuter them super quickly and then like release them back.
I can see you doing like a Bugs Bunny-esque character of like a surgeon, and you just like set up an operating table like in the middle of the street, and you're like pushing cats through.
Aw.
Yeah. I would really. That would.
And there's
That's
a whole
what I
lot
would.
of like,
Yes. Yes. We can make it very cartoony.
yeah.
That would be great. So, in the DVD, it includes 2 scenes in the release. They were removed. They were removed for the theatrical release, but in the DVDs, it's included that there's a prologue, and it's supposed to set in the 11th century. Did you guys know this? Showing the
No.
arrival of a Viking boat to America. They filmed this, and they bury a chest that contains Loki's mask, and then they leave, and then we were supposed to jump to when the mask is found. I would have liked to have seen that, and I didn't. I had the DVD, but I guess I didn't know this was in there, this special release, so I didn't know to even look for that.
Yeah, I think like the Ben Stein character.
Yeah.
Later on, like he kind of fills
it in.
Like, yeah, I can see why you wouldn't like need that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have liked a little.
Like as I get old, like as an adult, I would have liked that. As a kid, I don't care. Clearly.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, I said that I didn't laugh the whole movie, and that's not true.
Okay.
When they shoot him, or he pretends to get shot in the club, and he's doing the whole cowboy thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's going through pretending to be, different movie stars, saying famous lines, whatever. And each time he turns away and coughs. And then the one time he turns away and then turns back into the guy's face and coughs right in his face. I thought that was good setup and payoff.
I love all the impersonations. I love his Clint Eastwood. I think it's just so good. And like
with the teeth.
I know. And I was watching it again, and like obviously I've seen this a million times, and I'm like, he's got Eastwood's face down packed, even with the green stuff and the teeth. And that's just I get if people maybe don't love Jim Carrey movies, but you can't deny that he's just so unbelievably talented. Like, it's insane.
Yeah. I was reading this Forbes article. It was like the 25th anniversary, so 5 years ago, and it had creators that worked on the mask. And the director said that they worked such long hours on set, and to keep everybody energized, Jim would do impressions. And so he would do double impressions. And so they'd say, can you do John Wayne doing Clint Eastwood?
Oh,
and
wow.
He would just, anybody you gave him, he would do. And it just kept everyone super invigorated. I think that's pretty neat. That's pretty great.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, right? To be a part of that.
Yes.
The other thing that I really liked in the dream that Stanley has, where he's like a cool guy Stanley.
Yes.
He's smoking a cigarette. And I just thought about how much times have changed. And I'm, not promoting anyone smoking anything. You should not smoke. It's not worth it. Chew tobacco instead. That's definitely the path you should take. No, that was also a lie. I do not promote the use of any tobacco products. But I was like, smoking makes you look so cool. And the mask in the 90s knew. They're like, how are we going to communicate to the audience that Stanley is cool now? And they're like, just hand him a cigarette. And guess what? It works.
Yeah.
The other part of that is when Cameron Diaz, I don't care how freshly you are out of the shower. I don't care that there's people on set to swab and clean you down. When she starts like licking his ear, like putting her tongue in his ear. Oh my God. I'm like, I'm jumping out the window. Like nobody ever, an ear does not need to come into the realm of love and romance ever. Let the ear alone. Okay.
Yeah, but it works because your pet is licking your ear and that's how you wake
I get
up.
it. I get why it happens, but it's disgusting.
Seth just kink shamed a whole community of people.
I don't care. I will do that over and over and over again. You want to come for me? Get the furries, get whoever else. I will shame you to your face.
Seth, your takes are as hot as your face right now because I see it melting off.
Listen, I am dying. I'm dying.
We're all very close.
You have no idea how like wet
just
every part of my body is.
Yeah, me too. Everything. A swamp ass right now. It's just.
Yeah. And we're all in black too.
I know. I told Michelle I was going to paint my face green. That was my plan.
Oh gosh.
My face green for this. And then I forgot. And then I was like, it's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Because by the end of this, it would have been real scary.
It would have just melted off.
Yeah.
All right. This movie was made for what I found was between 18 and 23 million. At the
Makes
box
sense.
office, it made over 350 million.
Crazy. Crazy.
That's a big dill pickle. Rotten Tomatoes, this is an 80 score. Letterboxd 3.3. Metacritic 59. And Ebert gave it a 3 stars.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Raj could have fun if he wanted.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. I just found out he walked out of Surf Nazis Must Die.
Oh, I mean,
He went like, Sean, good friend and patron of the show, Sean shared that with me the other day. Put 30 minutes into Surf Nazis Must Die and then was like, I'm hitting the bricks.
He was like, nope, can't do this.
I will say too, and maybe it's just because Jim suddenly had incredible star power, but he jumps back in to grab the mask at the end of this movie. This movie makes $300 and something million. How
Over
was there not
350.
the Mask 2 like immediately made?
Yeah, there were talks
really
about it, and they're
surprising.
like, how did we not like make this work faster? But then he went on to do so many other things, and he's like, I don't
Right.
want to come back and revisit this world. Like, look at what he's done. Why would he come back?
Yeah,
for the best.
and maybe I know for the Grinch, he just talked about it like it's torture. So maybe
the makeup.
He's like, if I don't have to do a role where I'm wearing this thing, then I don't need to.
Yeah, I mean, when the movie ends, he throws the mask out, and it's Milo and Charlie fighting over it. So really, it would have come back as with Charlie with the mask. When you think about it, the friend was fighting over it. So what would even Stanley's purpose be in the mask?
Or the mask would kill Charlie. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. We can go dark. That would be cool.
Yeah. And I on that note, I would love to see this done the way that the comic is done.
Yeah.
Like a mask that possesses you, makes you do a bunch of crazy stuff, and then moves on to another character. That's like the Goosebumps book and episode.
Yeah, I think Nick and I were talking about that on his episode too. But we were like, who, like, you're living up to a Jim Carrey role. Like, who could play this?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Right. I think it's way too much pressure.
The story of it.
I think you'd have to do it as like an ensemble. So it's like a group of friends. And like right off the bat, you're establishing this is not about one person. The mask is passing itself between different people. And that's how I would.
So are you going to write it?
And give it to someone. Sure. Yes. I will. Yes. This will be my first feature film is redeeming the legacy of the mask. Yep.
I love it. Let's go over to Twitter. What did our friends have to say over there?
I'll tell you, not a lot. Way less than I thought. I thought we were going to get flooded with mask stuff, and people were
shameful.
Maybe they were just had a loss of words.
Little hesitant. Okay. Sean Shank at Tyler_Burnham.
Hey.
The Surf Nazis Must Die guy. He says, I believe The Mask is Jim Carrey's greatest comedic performance. He's able to perfectly balance the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde sides of Stanley Ipkiss. Great point.
Yeah, that's great.
Sean, none of us mentioned. This is Hyde story. The makeup and special effects never overshadow Carrey. They act in concert with Carrey to help create an unforgettable character. And that's true.
Well said.
Wow. Good job, Sean.
That's how I feel every week, Felicia. You guys are great. All the response every week.
Heather Stewart at Heather J. Stewart says, I was forced, quote unquote, to watch this by someone who had a massive crush on Cameron Diaz. I hated every minute.
Oh.
Heather J. Stewart, I'm in your camp. Might just be you and me, but.
Yeah.
Paul Muad'Dib.
Hey.
At Trigraptor.
Dune Buggy.
Says, a movie I would always try to watch as a kid, probably to my parents' dismay. Gonna be a trip to revisit as an adult because I barely remember anything from this one. And I can just imagine all of the children who were annoying the crap out of their parents in the 90s, like bursting into a room being like, somebody stop me.
Yeah.
And the parents were like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Alex Arellano at Alex172005_ says, huge part of my childhood. My kids love it too. 1994 was an incredible year for Carrey, as we all know, but this one really allowed him to flex his muscles. This is peak Carrey, and I really can't think of any actor in any generation who could have pulled this role off.
Yeah, I agree. It's always hard to think about who else could have played this role.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree.
Kate Miller.
Hey, Kate.
At A. Kate Tem. It's always hard to pronounce this one.
It's AKM.
AKA Tem.
There it is.
Says, fun movie, and Jim Carrey's cover of Cuban Pete is a banger.
Yes. Facts.
And now, is that Carrey singing? Do you guys know?
Yes.
Yes,
it is him. Yeah. I thought that it might be at one point because he does some inflection with his voice. I was like, ooh, that's really
He also had the
like
flu during that scene.
Oh, you can tell.
Oh my God.
No. Perfection.
It is.
They had 2 nights to film it, and he was like, no, I can do it. He had the flu. He was throwing up. No, that is such a good scene.
It is. Oscar
I don't like it at all.
What?
And then everyone starts dancing with him. Oh, no.
They all get into it. I was like, yes. The cop, she starts singing. I'm like,
oh,
this
yes.
is great.
Love it.
It's so good.
I'm so glad for you guys. And then lastly, we have Felicia at Cinnamaroni.
Hey, we know her.
Hello.
Cinnamon Noodle.
Yes.
Whenever you say cinnamon noodle, I always think about the snacks from Taco Bell. The cinnamon twists. Yeah, because that's just pasta that's been fried, right? Mm-hmm. And it's got cinnamon. So that's what I think of. I don't know if people are thinking about like cooked pasta.
No, I'm
with
thinking
cinnamon
about
on it.
Yeah, just goodness.
Okay. Anyway, Felicia, she's the host of Seeing Faces in Movies podcast. You should check it out. She says, one word, masterpiece.
I stand by that.
I love it.
And then we did get a few responses from Instagram as well.
Ooh.
Flibberty Gibbet Maria, also a good friend of the show.
Mm-hmm.
She says, I loved this movie as a kid, tried to watch as an adult, and couldn't finish it. Laugh, cry emoji. And I'm right there with you.
Should just fast forward to Cuban Pete.
Yeah.
So we heard from some people that we do know. Let's go to a segment of the show where we hear from people that we don't know. It's called Half Star, 3-Star, 5-Star. So these are reviews from letterboxd.com. We start with a half-star review, which is the lowest rating you can give a movie, and we go all the way up to a 5-star review, which is the highest rating you can give a movie. Seth is going to read this week's half-star review. Take it away, Seth. I can't wait to hear what you come up with.
I can't do it. Yeah.
What?
I'm going to try my best to read this.
I just built you up.
I know. I'm going to try my best to read this like as the mask, but I don't know what the mask voice is. What's the mask voice? Can you guys do it?
You just have to move your face like this, and then it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that kind of it?
Kind of like Humphrey Bogart on steroids.
Wow, that's great.
Did not finish. This movie exemplifies everything I've ever feared from Jim Carrey. The facial expressions, the physical comedy, everything. There's not a human alive who I would be more afraid of being in a room alone with. Buried somewhere in here is an interesting commentary on men's silent inner monologue and the desire to act without fear of repercussions. But I would have had to finish this monstrosity to get there.
Half star. That was good.
Just a bunch of voices.
Did you write that?
But, you know.
You were doing like impressions as the mask. You know,
Yes.
you became a Muppet for a word.
That's right. That's right.
It was good. So what do we think? I mean, I like the part of the commentary on men's silent inner monologue. I think there's something to be said about that. Desire to act, fear of repercussions. But his fear to be in a room with Jim Carrey? That's strange.
Right.
Yeah.
3-star review says, rewatching for the first time in close to 20 years, I'm still struck by pure nostalgia. Something about 90s video effects were so pure and artful. Being critical, this isn't a great movie, but still a classic that I quote to this day. This whole movie leans on Carrey's performance, though, as the rest of the cast is lackluster. Great soundtrack as a bonus. I know, the shade to Cameron. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't think the rest of the cast is lackluster, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5-star review. I was the perfect age to love this movie when it came out. Perhaps my nostalgic love for it has caused me to rate it too high, but I don't care. That musical number, Cuban Pete, is smoking. Nobody could have played the character better than Jim Carrey. Nobody. As evidence, I present Exhibit F for failure, Son of the Mask.
Wow. Okay.
Facts.
Well, when you need to compare your movie to Son of the Mask to make it look good, perhaps there's a problem.
All right, let's go into our happies and crappies.
It's time for happies and crappies. Happies and crappies. It's time for happies and crappies. Happies and crappies. It's time for
Okay. All
happies
right.
and crappies.
Who wants to kick it off?
Felicia, do you have your happy and crappy for this?
Sure. I mean, the whole movie is happy for me, but really it's the Cuban Pete scene. Like I said, sometimes in the middle of like a work day, I'll just watch it on YouTube. And I have to watch it on a big screen. Like I'm not watching it on my laptop. I'll pop it up on the TV and blast the sound because it needs to be a full, surround sound experience. In terms of crappies, I don't know. There's probably some lines that are dated because it's the 90s and some sexist stuff that you're kind of like, you can excuse enough because of the time. It's a comedy. It's nothing crazy offensive, but there's some stuff that is like, I don't know. I always found the scene with the guys with the mufflers up their sphincters disturbing and questionable and very, I think, 90s to do that. So maybe that's my one crappy.
Yeah.
Literally a crappy. Yeah.
Literally in the crapper.
Yeah.
Seth, happy and crappy?
All right. So I already mentioned, but the coughing joke I think is really funny. I also like that the guy who's trying to shoot him refuses to aim and he will only point the gun sideways. It's insane. It's crazy. He's not even holding it straight in front of him. It's nuts. And then my crappy, I'm just going to give it to the friend from the bank. I hate everything, every part of him. Like I don't get it. And then I will again give credit to the twist with the reporter. I think you don't see it coming at all.
Mm-mm.
And that's good misdirection from everybody involved.
Yeah. My happy is I love the Cuban Pete scene, but I love when Milo puts on the mask. This is it's a highlight for me. And my crappy is Dorian's voice when he puts on the mask. I can't stand it. And then my mid this is cheesy is when they're kissed. Like you have Tina and Stanley about to kiss, and she's like, Stanley, Ip, kiss. And then they kiss, and I was like, this is so cheesy, but I get it.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. All right, so we rate a movie as a schmovie movie or film. We also give it a rating, 1 through 5 stars, give our final thoughts and recommendations. Seth, do you want me to go first? Do you want to go first?
Well, so I actually wrote down a prediction for Felicia's.
Okay, you didn't tell me to do that. So
I know.
now I feel
well, you can do it still.
like a loser. Okay, I will.
You can do it still. It's not locked in yet.
Locked in. It is now.
So I'm gonna guess. Let's guess Felicia's first because she's the guest. Okay,
all right.
So for Felicia, I am guessing that she's rating this as a 5-star movie.
And I wrote down a 5-star film.
I'm going to say, I want to say this is a film, but really we all know it's a movie. It's a film in my heart. It's a movie, but it is a 10-star movie to me.
Oh,
but if we have to go on a 5 scale, it's 5. I know that I'm synonymous with The Swimmer, but I also want to be synonymous with The Mask.
Wow.
It's
Well,
not all
2
the way up
guest
there, but
appearances talking about
Yeah.
The Mask.
Yeah, I know.
I love it.
Invite me
Wow.
on to talk about The Mask, anyone. I'll
You're
do it
like the
again.
mask representative.
I know.
Mhm.
Like if I need a mask girl, I know who to contact.
Please.
I would love a scenario where you need a mask girl.
I'd be like, I know. I got the person. Yes.
Okay. So I'll guess for you, Michelle,
Okay.
I wrote down that you were going to rate this a 3-star movie.
You are correct.
No. I'm sorry. I wrote down schmovie.
Okay.
3-star schmovie.
Yeah, it is a 3-star. With me, it was movie with like a quarter of schmoove in there. Like a
Got it.
schmoove. V, though. It's like on my little pie chart of this. But yeah, 3 stars for sure. I think this is fun on the nostalgia path. I would recommend it if people are kind of exploring Jim Carrey. My sister-in-law is exploring Jim Carrey. She just watched Ace Ventura for the first time and thought it was so funny. And she loves over-the-top humor. So I hope she goes and watches The Mask. I would definitely recommend The Mask to her or someone who is exploring Jim Carrey's history.
Got it.
Okay, Seth, I wrote down a 2.5 movie.
I hate to be this guy. Like, I
Do
really
you, though? Do you?
I do.
wait a
I
minute.
do. I wish I could. I sent a picture in our patron Discord of him at the table with the tongue out and the eyes and everything. And I just said, like, is this funny? And everyone was like, yes, especially like if you're a kid or like, yes, it's so great. And so many people were like, this is so funny. I love this movie. And I'm just sitting there like, I don't know why this is funny. I don't think it's funny at all. None of it. Chasing down an alarm clock in a hallway with a hammer. I'm like, okay, like, sure, whatever. Anyway, so yes, I wish that I liked this like everyone else, but this was painful. 2.5 times for this show, trying to see it through better eyes. I couldn't do it. I'm giving this 1.5 stars. I'm calling this a movie. And next to Shrek, this is definitely like my least favorite movie that we've done.
Do you like it more than Shrek, though?
Yes.
Okay.
I would so much
take
rather
that.
watch this than Shrek.
Really?
Yes.
Because you rated Shrek higher, I thought.
Did I?
Yeah, I thought Shrek 2.
Maybe I was at like 2. Like I was at 2 or 2.5 for Shrek.
Yeah, I don't remember
Yeah.
what you rated Shrek 2.
But I would rather watch this. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, the big band revival thing. No, thank you. As far as recommendations, I don't recommend that you watch this. There's so many other great 90s comedies to watch, like Clifford. Just watch that. If you want some zany fun, go for the good stuff.
That's wild, though. Didn't you say you don't like big comedy?
Exactly, Felicia.
Well,
exactly.
Clifford is small. Felicia just watched Clifford for the first time recently.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I liked it, yeah.
She loved it.
It's fun.
Oh, I'm happy for you. I think I'm just seeking other people who don't like it.
Oh, you'll find them.
I'm sure you will.
Quite easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what it like? Yes. Clifford was so annoying because it was taking place in a real life world. Like, this isn't real; it's comic booky. So I'm like, this makes more sense to me. Like, I kept looking at Ant when we were watching this. I'm like, this is so ridiculous. I'm like, we're not in a real world. We're not in a real. It's like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. This isn't real.
Yeah.
This is. So that like helped. If this was trying to be real, I think I'd have more of an issue with it.
And you brought that up. If we go back to, the first script of this is being prepared around 89, 90, you can see why this gets picked up and pushed after Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, we need another Who Framed Roger Rabbit movie. The kids love the old cartoons and the old music and the old movie references, it turns out.
But
and
I think
Tina's
this is
Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is a kids movie that adults can enjoy. But I think it's a kids movie. I think the people who love it are people who watched it as kids. And I think watching it as an adult for the first time would be off-putting.
Yeah.
I hated it as a kid too. I just want to throw that out there. But like Felicia, earlier you were talking about like, oh, I think in your household,
Mhm.
you know, like everyone has a Jim Carrey movie that they play over and over. Ours was like Man on the Moon and Truman Show.
Those are good movies. But
Yeah, those are good.
Hey, if we're played over and over in your house, we'd love it if you'd give us a rating and a review wherever you're listening. As I already mentioned, we're trying to beat Jamie Kennedy in the ratings on Apple iTunes podcast.
Nope, Apple
player.
Podcasts. Apple Podcasts.
But really, wherever you're listening, hey, you know, Overcast, maybe Podcast Addict. I don't know. I actually do know because I see where you guys are listening. We would love it if you'd give us a rating or review wherever you are. We'd also love it if you send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought about The Mask. I'm sure you loved it because you're a sane and normal person. But maybe you didn't. Maybe you want to come to my defense. I've been a little gained up on here tonight, and I'm feeling a little down. So if you also dislike The Mask, please let me know. You can also support the show, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. $5 a month gets you access to all of our additional shows, our Patreon Discord, and you get to vote on upcoming films each month and monthly themes. Wowie, zowie, zowie. And as if that wasn't enough, you can also come see us at our next live show, September 21st, on Long Island, New York.
Don't you just
Gonna be
want to
fun.
sing Earth, Wind, and Fire? Do you remember? September 21st September.
I don't.
Oh, every time.
I will. Yeah.
We can. But yeah,
Yeah.
come see us. It's free. And we're talking about Space Jam.
It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Another movie that's quite interesting from the 90s.
Yes. Yes.
So next week, we're taking a little bit of a break. We're going to be covering some films from the Stony Brook Film Festival, which is going to be cool. And so no new episode next week, but we'll be back the week after that. So stick around, folks. Felicia, what the heck? Where can people find you?
And the show is on all platforms where you listen to your podcasts, and on Instagram under Seeing Faces in Movies, on Twitter or X, as I guess we're calling it now. It's Seeing Movies Pod because they don't allow enough characters. So that's what it is. But you can find me there. I'm probably more active on Instagram. Taking a break, but there's a lot of episodes to catch up on.
There is a whole bunch of episodes, and you know, if you listen to us, you should listen to Felicia's show. They cover the greatest films ever made on there, and yeah, fantastic directors and cinematographers. It's a real show.
It's a real
You
show.
know?
I was just going to say, there's like real movies talk over
Yeah,
there.
like we're like, you know,
Well, no, you're good, Seth.
Yes.
you know, but over there, it's like
This is a real show.
I told my
real
therapist
deal.
that I am a part of this movie podcast, but I'm like the hot sauce or the pepper that just kind of sprinkle on top. Like Seth is the
Oh.
whole plate. But then if you need some hot sauce or if you need some ground pepper, I just add in
Interesting.
like a little bit of sprinkle fun.
We love hot sauce, though.
Right. I mean, I'm not denying it. But
What did your therapist say?
She just listened. Anyway,
She's
thanks,
like,
friends.
oh, okay, Michelle. Okay.
Yeah.
Is your therapist listening to our show?
I don't know. Probably.
Oh.
I mean, maybe.
Therapist, whatever your last name is.
Welcome.
Thank you for listening.
Yes.
Yeah. Felicia, as the guest, why don't you, just give us some words of wisdom to go out on?
I think that you should let some 90s comedy into your heart. And I know some of us can be a little closed off, aka Seth, but sometimes you need to add some love into your heart. And Jim Carrey can do that for you, I think. I hope. Final words.
All right, that was terrible.
No,
But
that's
thank you
beautiful
anyway.
for Jim Lai. That's where we should cut it. That's where I would cut it. Cut, edit, keep. We're keeping that.
Yeah, I'm not going to cut
Cutting
it there.
this.
Anyway. Thank you, Felicia. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank
Yes.
you, Felicia.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Seth. Sorry I tortured you this week, but I'm
That's
not really,
okay.
because we got Felicia, so, you know.
That's right. That's right. It was all worth it.
Yes, it was.
For you.
Likewise.
Thank you very much for listening. Till next time, have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Music by Anthony Vicora. If you like the show, please subscribe and give us a rating. It really helps us find new friends. Thanks.